Welcome to W&L Sports Weekly. I'm Kevin Finch. This week we will visit with volleyball coach Bryan Snyder, men's soccer captain Jack Rawlins, and field hockey captain Stella Noels. But we start with a look back at the week of W&L athletics. Women's soccer moved to 6-2-1 with a 5-1 win over Eastern Mennonite and a 2-1 overtime loss to Lynchburg. Men's cross country won its race at the Pole Short Invitational at Lehigh, finishing first out of 26 teams. Women's cross country also won its race, finishing first out of 7 teams at the ODAC Championship Preview. Men's tennis had 2 individuals advance to the round of 16 in the singles at the ITA Regional Championship, while football claimed another nail-biting victory, this time over Hampton-Sydney by a score of 32-30. Field hockey moved to 7-0 with an 11-0 win over Ferrum to begin ODAC play, and men's soccer improved to 8-0-1 with a 3-1 win over Lynchburg. Finally, volleyball moved to 14-4 with a 3-1 win over Lynchburg and a 3-0 win over Shenandoah, while falling to Christopher Newport 3-1. Joining me now is the head coach of the volleyball program, Bryan Snyder. Bryan, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's great to be back.
There are a lot of W's on this team's record, both last spring and now, but maybe one of your biggest wins might be the return of fans to volleyball games. How's that affected the team?
It's been very well received. Our players have talked multiple times this year about how much more fun it is to be able to compete with some noise and to have their friends and their families out. Obviously with parents and family weekend just being this past weekend, we had 2 home games on Saturday, so pretty much all of our parents were there. I think 13 of our 15 players had parents or family members visiting and got to see us play. So that's been great. I think just sports in general, to be able to have fans back in attendance, that's what it's all about. It's entertainment, it's competition, and it's not meant to happen in a vacuum like we had to do last year. So it's been a nice return to a little bit of normalcy there.
So let's do some numbers here. You're 6-0 in ODAC play, 14-4 overall. Even though you lost some important contributors from last year, how do you account for that continued success?
Yeah, well, we've had some players who've really stepped forward into some new roles and have done a nice job with that. A couple of our, sophomores and juniors have taken a nice step forward. We have some good senior leadership. We're definitely a different team than we were last year. We've had to rely on some different aspects of our game to score points. We've done a great job of minimizing our errors and making teams score to beat us. Last year we were a little bit more aggressive. This year we're a little bit more focused on playing some longer rallies and forcing teams into some uncomfortable situations and letting them score some points for us. And we've just continued to get better. Our serve receive has been a pretty strength of ours this year. Our setting has been fantastic. And then, when we can attack aggressively but keep our errors low, I think it puts us in a good position to win most matches.
Now, as an individual here, you've reached a big milestone, 600 career match victories, and you're going for your 14th ODAC title in 21 seasons. What's going to take to get you there?
Well, we're going to have to get a little bit better at blocking. That's something we've been working on a lot the past few weeks, and we've seen some improvement there. Just a lot of hard work, a little bit of luck. That's kind of the same every year. But we need to just stick to what we do, which again is creating long rallies, being comfortable, playing multiple styles depending on who we're playing against. When we can dictate the pace, when we can't dictate the pace, making sure that we force other teams to do things that they're uncomfortable with. And I think if we do that, again, volleyball, it's a unique sport in that it's not time dependent. It's point dependent. And so we base a lot of our strategic decisions on statistical analysis, and if something works 51% of the time, we're going to try to go in that direction. But sometimes you're stuck in that land where you're seeing the 49% of the results, which are not what you want. So sticking to our game plan over the long haul, I think, will always put us in a good position to win and try to achieve our goals.
Bryan Snyder, head coach for volleyball, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Here with me now is Jack Rawlins, a senior men's soccer player from Springfield, Virginia. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here, and let's talk some numbers. I'm going to run these by you for a moment because the statistics are really pretty gaudy. A #1 national ranking in D3, 8-0-1 overall and 2-0 in the ODAC, including 2 wins over your rival Lynchburg. a win streak of 19 regular season games that goes back to October 19th of 2019. With all of that, how do you keep focused with all that's going on, and how do you avoid letting down?
Yeah, I think the biggest part is avoiding letting down. Having this #1 ranking, the highest that this team has ever achieved, it was important immediately once that was announced to make sure that no one is getting heads that are too big, no one's getting too cocky. I remember that day sending out a message to everyone saying that we should all take pride in this, that it's a great moment, but that we still have a lot to prove. We still have a lot that we want to achieve, and at the end of the day, no one really cares about who's #1 in October. It's about who's #1 in December. So.
Fair enough. Individually, you are a 3-time All-ODAC honoree, and you were the ODAC Rookie of the Year back in 2018. Do you have any individual goals you still would like to attain before you finish your career at W&L?
I can't say I do. I can't say I really ever had individual goals coming in and playing collegiate soccer. It's always been team goals. It's always been about, I guess, the memories, the moments you have as a team. At the end of the day, and like 20 years from now, I'm not going to look back and remember, oh yeah, I was the ODAC Rookie of the Year in 2018. It'll be the cool moments I had, the cool wins, everything that we've done together as a team, not really what I've achieved as an individual.
Speaking of teams, here's an interesting team statistic. You're in the top 15 nationally for scoring offense. Does that give the team the ability to play a little bit looser style on defense, because you know you've got so much offensive firepower?
I wouldn't say it gives us any extra space to play loose. We're still very, very focused defensively. We still always want to be putting up clean sheets. But there is definitely a sense of relief when we have such a strong attacking unit. It's definitely the best that I've had in these 4 years. And just being able to know that we have players who can score consistently and kind of relieve some pressure, it's nice. But at the same time, as a defender, I never want to be taking any plays off or letting any goals be scored.
Jack Rawlins, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Now joining me is Stella Noels, a senior field hockey player from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Welcome, Stella.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you here. And just so recently, after another big win for the team, 4-0 over Roanoke, and you're now at 14th in the national rankings, 2 places up from last week. How's all that feel right now?
I think it's been really just kind of a great culmination for our senior year. As I was, thinking about this season and expectations, coming in as a first year on this team, we were ranked fairly low, I believe around 21st or 22nd. And, obviously coming into this season, not having any ranking and not even having the opportunity to play in the tournament, NCAA tournament last spring, kind of working our way up that ladder of a really great series of teams in non-conference play the past few weeks, and kind of earning that ranking has been so gratifying for the team, I think, in a lot of ways, and really made us more confident about our ability.
Well, you also have to be confident when you have an offense that's averaging almost 5 goals a game, practically unheard of in field hockey, which itself, that's ranking you in the top 10 in D3. Where's all that coming from?
I think when I think about our offensive kind of success this season, a lot of it kind of makes me think that the work we were able to put in last spring really put our team at an advantage this season. We were very fortunate in that a lot of Division III programs, particularly in the NESCAC League, which is one of the more competitive leagues for field hockey, weren't even afforded the opportunity to be on campus in person last year, let alone compete in their conference. And for our team, we were able to make it to the ODAC finals last spring, so I think we're kind of building off of the success that we worked for and kind of that foundational, knowing where each other are on the field, and kind of that intangible work that kind of just comes with time spent together. So I think kind of reaping the benefits of that work in that spring and kind of coming back this fall and picking up right where we left off.
You're a senior. You've been named second team All ODAC last spring. You're also, I mentioned earlier, team captain. Your coach, Gina Wills, is working this season without an assistant coach. How has that affected you and the other leaders on the team? Are you taking on some extra duties?
Absolutely. I think, that was a big conversation coming into this fall with the captains and the coach in terms of how we were going to facilitate moments in in practices, for example. Our goalies will be warmed up by our head coach for the first 10 to 15 minutes of practice. So during those first few drills, it's actually just, the team kind of running those drills ourselves after our coach kind of goes through what her expectations are and kind of an explanation. So it's really fallen not only on the captains, but all of the upperclassmen leadership to bring that intensity, bring that drive, that focus to those drills, given that our head coach is working with our goalies at that time. So I think it's just forced everyone to kind of step up and really make sure that we're locked and loaded in practice and not getting distracted. And, that energy and that time spent is really paying off as well.
And we're seeing the results.
Absolutely.
Stella Noels, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's time now for a look at the upcoming week. This afternoon, women's soccer travels to Sweetbriar and men's soccer travels to Ferrum. On Saturday, riding competes in the Virginia Tech Invitational, football hosts Newport News Apprentice, and then field hockey hosts Bridgewater. Men's soccer travels to Hampton-Sydney. Men's and women's swimming hosts the ODAC Relays. Women's soccer travels to Bridgewater, and volleyball travels to Johns Hopkins for matches with the Blue Jays and Ursinus. On Monday and Tuesday, men's golf takes part in the Carnegie Mellon Invitational, while women's soccer travels to Guilford. For W&L Sports Weekly, I'm Kevin Finch. Thanks for watching.